Israel is understood for what it is, a rampaging rogue state that operates outside of international law. Israel wants complete domination and complete submission, essentially what they call Greater Israel, which is complete control over Palestine and parts of other countries in the region.
Jeffrey Sachs just revealed Israel's master plan for total domination of the Middle East, and in this clip, he gets into the worst parts of the toxic and evil relationship between the US and Israel, and why this is such a net negative for American taxpayers. So let's get into this. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
The reputation that Israel has for murdering its foes is so prevalent that Benjamin Netanyahu took to the international airwaves before they caught the person who pulled the trigger to deny that the Israelis had murdered Charlie Kirk. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Israel's mode of behavior is assassinations. Who do they assassinate? Especially those who are negotiating. This is incredible. They assassinate the Hamas negotiators. They assassinate the Hezbollah negotiators. They assassinate the Iranian negotiators, or they bomb Iran to stop a round of negotiations. Israel does not want any diplomacy. Israel wants complete domination and complete submission of the rest. But the United States was judged by at least some of the countries in the region to have some glimmer of responsibility vis-a-vis Israel's illegal behavior, and that seems now to have been decisively disproved.
Yeah, certainly so. If you doubt Israel's track record for assassinations, even the Wikipedia site lists them, and it recently had to break down in decades, you see here on the left side, because there's way too many of them. Look at this. Throughout the years, ending with the recent ones that happened in Doha between negotiators that were trying to negotiate a ceasefire. So, right here, all this discussion about how Israel's trying to get back the hostages, and that's what all they want from Gaza, is just a propaganda scheme. They like the fact that Hamas still has something like 50 hostages. By the way, they still have like 3,500 hostages that are Palestinians with secret charges, not even charged, just secret evidence against them. They like that fact because if they had the hostages back, it takes away the pretext that they're using to consummate this genocide in Gaza. This is just like anti-Semitism. You hear that they dread anti-Semitism, but the truth is that the Israeli regime thrives off anti-Semitism. It's a propaganda tool that they use to say that anyone that critiques their behavior is just anti-Semitic. Max Blumenthal talks about this a lot. He couldn't be more close to the truth on that. And hey, I'm with Jeffrey Sachs on this 100%. Israeli assassinations of the negotiators is war crimes, and Qatar is ostensibly a U.S. ally, but the U.S. just looks the other way because it's Israel, and Israel dictates U.S. foreign policy, unfortunately.
I know you're going to be at the UN next week. Has the United States relented, and will it permit the Palestinian delegation to land at JFK?
As far as I know, the Palestinian delegation will not be at the UN for the session on Palestine other than online. They will come in online. There will be a worldwide revulsion at Israel's behavior, and there will be strong support throughout the world for Palestine. And again, the United States government profoundly discredits itself and unfortunately brings us, the American people, into this by violating international law on the rights of delegations to come to the United Nations. We are the host institution, and this administration is only doing what Israel says. There is no American foreign policy. People should understand there is only Israeli foreign policy implemented by a kind of puppet regime in the United States.
Yeah, it's hard to deny. If you haven't been following the story, the U.S. revoked visas of the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas and his delegation such that they can't come to the United Nations. And there's been some rumblings that, based on the rules of the UN, they might try to move the meeting to Geneva. It looks like that's not going to happen. So yeah, they're not even going to allow these people there. It just seems so preposterous, just such a backhanded slap if you actually want to treat these people like human beings, like every other diplomatic party at the UN. But the whole UN is preposterous anyways. And the fact that the US has veto power, one of 5 countries that it does, that prevents any kind of Palestinian state to be endorsed, is something that should tell you everything you need to know about the UN. It's not there to solve global matters or to, have peace and, stop or thwart the United States and my criminal government from allying with Israel in its duplicitous and evil quest to have a genocide in Gaza, to pull the U.S. into, entangling wars, get us in a new war with Iran, bomb Qatar, expand the West Bank settlements in Syria and Lebanon, talk about the Greater Israel Project. All of this, my criminal government's, complicit with. I fail to see much of a distinguished characteristic between how my government acts and the criminal Netanyahu government.
Did you say puppet?
I did. I said that we're just following along.
Right.
We're pulled
Right.
on the strings by the Mossad, by the Israeli government, our Congress. We have members of Congress sitting, listening to this war criminal just in recent days, who tells them about all the virtues of Israel as Israel is committing a genocide just nearby where the American congressmen sit. It's not only a disgrace and a dereliction of duty, it is a culpability of the American political class because it is a direct complicity in genocide. And one of the most important points about the 1948 Genocide Convention is that every country has the responsibility to stop a genocide. It's the most grievous, heinous crime on the planet. And not only is the United States political class not stopping it, it is actively complicit in it.
That's totally correct, man. He said it. He said it best of all. And he's right. Netanyahu is tied at the hip to the U.S. And if you look at Netanyahu's appearances at Congress, he gets such elation from both sides of the aisle. It's such bipartisan cheering, and it just makes me sick. No U.S. president will get the kind of reception that Benjamin Netanyahu does in Congress. And why is that? It's because of the prominence and power of AIPAC and the Israel lobby, with AIPAC boasting about having 361 representatives under their thumb. On their website, they boast about this, and they control their voting patterns. If you want to think that there is a grand clash of ideologies in Washington and in our government, there truly isn't on this issue. It's a few outliers that are against this thing, but he's exactly right. It's toxic, it's evil, it's maniacal, it's not worth it, and it's never conducive to American interests.
The Secret Service has several emergency services vehicles that it uses to rush the president of the United States to a hospital from the White House should it ever be needed. In one of them, just a few weeks ago, the Mossad had planted 2 listening devices. Secret Service found them and dismantled them. Nobody was arrested.
It's the Mossad government. Why would they be arrested?
When the Israeli government kills innocents but misses its targets, as happened in Doha, is there domestic political pushback against Netanyahu?
Inside Israel?
Yes.
No. Right now, no. I mean, there's pushback against Netanyahu for many things, but not for killing Arabs.
Yeah, actually, every poll backs this up. Netanyahu's overall approval rating is something like 36% by the recent poll I saw. But when it comes to his policy in Gaza and his policy toward the Palestinians, that has the support of an overwhelming majority of Israelis. You know, wrongly, I think, certainly so. You do have some dissidents like Yair Golan and Ehud Olmert, but they aren't enough to overpower the vast support that Netanyahu has for this genocide in Gaza. And the US is captured in this too. And what they said about the listening devices is correct. Max Blumenthal's piece in the Gray Zone recently that dealt with Charlie Kirk in Israel talks about this. Those listening devices were found, and this isn't the first time they were found after somewhere that Netanyahu was, because UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson recounted a similar incident in his memoir, writing about a similar situation that unfolded with him too. So this isn't, the first rodeo of Netanyahu when it comes to listening devices, by the way.
Unfortunately, even innocent Arabs who had nothing to do with the people they were targeting, because they bombed a residential neighborhood.
I'm sorry to say, but one of the points that is repeated in opinion surveys in Israel is the belief that there are not innocent Arabs or innocent Palestinians, that if there's mass death, that's okay. This is, I'm sorry to say it, and of course there are exceptions to this, but this is actually part of the scene right now. No, there is not pushback on something so minor as people dying in an Israeli bombing.
Yeah, isn't that so preposterous, too, that we hear the constant refrain after every criticism of Israel, well, it's just because of anti-Semitism, when actually the Israeli supremacists, the Jewish supremacists within the Israeli government that thirst for greater Israel, actually have a view of the Palestinians as being subhuman, and you'd have to have that view to justify this genocide, the starvation, the closure of aid stations, pushing out UN aid, monopolizing it to the GHF, which has encouraged starvation and stampedes and deaths. We know that from Anthony Aguilar, the whistleblower, former Green Beret that was involved in this. And that's the truth. It is sad, it's depressing to some extent, but that is the truth.
Do they feel this way about Jews who are not Zionists or Christians?
No, I don't think so. I think that it is especially targeted at their neighbors, their immediate neighbors.
Well, Agapia Stephanopoulos disputed that on Tucker Carlson. She's a nun, a Christian nun that was in Palestine, in Gaza, in Israel, and in these areas. And she recounted the fact that Christians are treated terribly by the Israeli authorities. They don't have the same rights as Israelis either. And if you want to take a closer look at that, look at her podcast with Tucker about a month or so ago. Really interesting, eye-opening episode that many Americans don't talk about because we don't hear much about Christian-Palestinian relations with the Israeli authorities. But, if you're not Israeli, you're the enemy in Gaza. That's their volition.
So I think it is targeted specifically at the Palestinians who live among them and are equal in number to the Israelis, yet are being starved to death, murdered, expelled from their homes, or crushed to submission in other ways, or their view of other countries in the region, which they view not as human beings, but only as instrumental one way or another in affecting Israel's capacity to achieve its goal of essentially what they call Greater Israel, which is complete control over Palestine and parts of other countries in the region, parts of Lebanon, parts of Syria. We don't know what the real boundaries are of this Greater Israel, so-called, but this is a very instrumental view. It's not a view that the others are human beings. This is a view that they are just obstructions.
Yet,
Yeah, and this isn't hyperbole too. If you look at some of the pictures of Netanyahu holding up this map of the new Middle East with these greater Israel borders, you can see that he has entertained this notion overtly. Again, this isn't just a conspiracy theory. A lot of people say that, but he's held up maps that say the new Middle East, where it has Israel's borders stretching throughout the Arabian Peninsula, sometimes Sinai, sometimes parts of Egypt and Sudan. And he's talked about this over and over in various locations, including the UN General Assembly. So, Jeffrey Sachs is not making this up. He's not even exaggerating. That is true. And that's something that Zionists have long talked about from the days of Theodore Herzl and David Ben-Gurion. And not only have they talked about that, they realized that this would need to cause mass death and destruction to come to fruition. That was just admitted by these people.
Reputation that Israel has for murdering its foes is so prevalent that Benjamin Netanyahu took to the international airwaves before they caught the person who pulled the trigger to deny that the Israelis had murdered Charlie Kirk. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Israel's mode of behavior is assassinations. Who do they assassinate? Especially those who are negotiating. This is incredible. They assassinate the Hamas negotiators. They assassinate the Hezbollah negotiators. They assassinate the Iranian negotiators, or they bomb Iran to stop a round of negotiations. Israel does not want any diplomacy. Israel wants complete domination and complete submission of the rest. Negotiators get in the way. They might reach an agreement. Often they have signaled that they have reached an agreement. That's when they become real targets for Israeli assassination.
Yeah, that's right. Israel targets negotiators because, again, that takes what the impetus they use, the propaganda tool that they use to, enact the mass murder of people in Gaza. That is the truth. They're not wrong about Netanyahu, too. Very soon after Charlie Kirk's killing, he denied Israel was responsible. But not only that, he also was quick to blame radical Islam for the assassination. In various interviews, including with Greta Van Susteren and in this one on Fox News, talking about how this is the fault of radical Islamists. It's like, what are you talking about, man? This was before any suspect was named or apprehended, by the way, whatsoever, by the FBI. And he did a similar thing after the Butler assassination attempt on Trump, where he blamed Iran for that strike, in a similar circumstance. We can see him for the propagandist he is, and it's very clear with how Israel treats U.S. citizens, treats the Palestinians, and propagandizes immensely for the cause of Israel first over America first, entitled to the U.S. Treasury, getting to have more influence over our president than the president gets to have over him. It's such a unique and perverted relationship. It truly is an unholy alliance in many ways. So I agree with Sachs on this completely. But what do you think? What is the end game for Israel? Are they going to stop at the genocide in Gaza? Are they going to keep expanding their borders? Is there any way this can stop? How quickly could the U.S. turn against Israel, with many people, even on the right, peeling off? And when do you think AIPAC's influence over our government would ever be diminished, because of demographic shifts or what have you? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, also subscribe to Judge Napolitano. Awesome interview. I really appreciated it. And please consider joining my own channel as a member by clicking the join button below. If you do that, it would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And in return for that deed, I'll give you access to all my videos before they go live to the general public on my channel. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.